Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here, and let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to go ahead and do is share my screen with you and point out a couple of things. First thing I'd like to point out is we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup group. It has the same name. And we'd love to invite you to come join us in the Facebook group. I'll tell you why you want to in a couple moments, but you might as well just go ahead and join it because I know that you'll be happy that you did. What you'll do is you'll sign into Facebook. You'll find where it says search Facebook, and then you'll take the name of the group, Live Law of Attraction Money, Wealth, and Success Training. Start typing that in, and you'll be able to find us. So go ahead and find us, ask to join us, be happy to have you. The other way you can find us is you can go directly to facebook.com/groups/money manifesting coach as one word. So that's facebook.com/groups, which is plural, /money manifesting coach as one word. And let's see here what I'm going to go ahead and do for you right now, at least try to do this for you, is put this link into chat to make it a little bit easier to find us. Let's see here. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted it in here. There we go. And I recommend, though, that you click on it before the meeting's over so that you can come join the group, because when the meeting's over, even when the recording's out, the links won't be in there. Okay. So anyhow, all right. So why would you want to join us in the first place? Well, as long as I remember to hit the record button, which I typically do, we record these Zoom meetings and we make them available to you typically in 24 to 48 hours. For instance, there's yesterday, there's the day before, and multiple days going back to when we got started. So anyhow, let's say you're on today and you like something that is said and you want to review it and go through it again. Then typically 24 to 48 hours when you're in the Facebook group, it'll be there. You can do that. Let's say, for instance, you've been with us. Today is Friday, is your first day. We actually started something new that we're working on 2 days ago. So you might want to go back and get caught up. And I'll show you what that is that we just got it started on in just a moment. Let me get a sip of water here. Okay. So we finished up something that we were doing for about 3 weeks, a little over, and we're hopping into the laws right now, the laws that are, well, law of attraction is what most people think about, okay? What people don't understand is the law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration, and there is actually more than one law that dictates whether we do or do not receive what it is that we want to manifest in our lives. So if we are not understanding the laws, we're not aware of them, first of all. And number two, we're not aware that we're actually breaking some of these laws, then we won't know why it is we aren't receiving in our life what we want. So the first book we went through is The Science of Getting Rich. This book is called Hidden Treasures. I'm going to show you in a moment how to get a free copy for yourself. It is actually written by somebody by the name of Leslie Householder. She actually happens to be a friend of mine. If I go back to when I first learned about the law of attraction, that would go back to very early 2006, even before the movie The Secret came out, by the way. But I was introduced to the book called The Science of Getting Rich, and then I was offered the opportunity to go through a 3-day seminar around the material. And then I got some additional coaching and training, and my life changed dramatically. It went from working 50, 60 hours a week for the previous 3.5, 4 years. That was my average work week. And my average income was about $5 to $6 grand a month. Okay. Well, after going through the workshop, getting to know Leslie, getting some additional coaching and training in a very short period of time, literally in about 3 months, my income actually, so you take January, February, March, April, I was at $5,000 to $6,000 a month. You hop into May 1st through December 31st of '06, and my work week declined. As far as hours go, I was down to 15 to 20 hours a week. However, my income average had risen to over $50,000 a month. Not that it was 50 every month. I had a month where it was $88,000. Another month it was 30 something. But the average over the next 8 months of that year was over $50,000 a month. That is pretty darn dramatic. And as a result of that, I've had a lot of freedom. I've now had multiple businesses. I've worked in multiple industries. And when I say that, not as a job, but as an owner or as a consultant. And 2 years ago, Bob Proctor reached out to me through his organization and asked if I wanted to be a coach. Why did he do that? Well, Leslie Householder used to be a Bob Proctor coach. And they learned how well I had done as a result of what I learned. They wondered if that was something that I would like to do. So I made that commitment a couple of years ago to make this my new profession. And now I'm independent, just like Leslie is, and off training and helping people learn what it is that I learned back in the day. Not just back in the day, by the way, always learning, always growing, always improving. But anyhow, Leslie does a phenomenal job at explaining how these laws work. She's doing it from somewhat of a scientific perspective, but also from a spiritual perspective, which she's sharing. And she's doing it through this book. She used to sell it. It is still for sale if you go on Amazon. However, she also decided that she was going to start giving the book away. So I want to show you where to find it. If you look up here at the very top, it says hiddentreasuresbook.com. hiddentreasuresbook.com. If you go to hiddentreasuresbook.com, this page is actually what's going to pop up. And then if you scroll down just a little bit where it says click here for free download, that's where you can get a free copy of the book. Okay, so it's hiddentreasuresbook.com. You'll be able to get a free copy. Highly, highly, highly recommend that you do that. And it will be this copy, the same one that we have right here. And you'll be able to follow along and take notes and do whatever it is that you do as you go through the material yourself. But again, highly recommend that you go get yourself a copy of this. We started this a couple days ago. We're now on page number 16, and we are going to continue on. Now, here's the cool thing. Leslie gave a really good explanation, not of what all the laws were necessarily, but why she wrote this book and what you can expect to learn and get out of it. Now we are about to actually jump into the laws themselves. So the way that things function, if you're here today for the first time, is I'm going to start reading, and I will give some commentary when I think it's appropriate or helpful for everybody to understand what's being talked about. However, the most important thing that we do, I believe, every single day is we spend time interacting with each other. We usually spend 10 to 15 minutes at the end of what we're doing. Sometimes we go a little bit longer if people like to. And you get the opportunity to share whatever you'd like to share or ask whatever questions you'd like to ask. So we're not going to do that in the middle of the reading. We're going to continue on. But if you have any questions that pop up while we're going through this, go ahead and write it down and we'll make sure we get those questions answered. And we're not going to just do it through a chat. I'll come out a screen share and literally you'll be able to come off of mute and we're going to be able to have a conversation. Okay, let me get another sip of water and we'll get going. All about laws. Excuse me. And we're on page 16 if you have your copy and you're wanting to follow along where we're at. Have you ever violated a man-made law? Say, for example, a traffic law. How many times have you violated a traffic law? How many times have you been caught? Do those figures match? Of course they don't. When we talk about law, it is natural to immediately think of the kind of laws with which we are most familiar. In our everyday life, we are more likely to chat with our friend about the guy who cut us off to make an illegal lane change or the new tax bracket for which we just qualified. These are kind of mushy laws, though. What do I mean by that? I mean that these laws are supposed to be strictly observed, but when they're not, Sometimes the violator suffers a civil consequence, while sometimes it seems to go unpunished. So when someone tries to tell you there are natural laws governing prosperity or success, there is a tendency to think, I wouldn't bank on it. It may be true, but I wouldn't count on it working in every case. Or, sounds like a get rich quick scheme. They're only after my money, or there's no such thing as one formula fits all to making money. Let me explain something. When you think of law, don't think of man-made laws. They're just not absolute enough to compare with the ideas I'll be presenting here. When I say law, rather, think of something like gravity. Gravity is a natural law, a law of nature, that is dependable and constant. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to like it. In fact, you don't even have to understand it. But you are still subject to it. Everything is subject to it. When we seem to defy it, it is because we are using other laws, which are dependable and constant as well. We can use our knowledge of laws to our advantage. Ignorance of these laws leave us limited in our abilities. One thing I'd like to point out at this stage of the game is the following idea. With reference to the fact that you don't have to believe in a law to be subject to it, picture this. Suppose that you have firm belief in mind over matter. You choose not to believe in the law of gravity. You decide that you don't want to be subject to it anymore. So you go on the edge of a cliff and, with all the positive thinking you can muster, you step off. It's no surprise that, once again, gravity proves true and your mind over matter turns into mind alles matter. Mind over matter is a true principle, don't get me wrong, but it only works when we apply it in harmony with natural laws. Remember that as you read on, because if you find that you're having a hard time believing any of the laws that I'll present, so be it. Just remember, it'll save you from a lot of pain if you choose to believe them anyway. More about law. I think man-made laws such as traffic laws should rather be called traffic codes of conduct. Tax laws should be called tax rules. We need them, but they aren't as dependable as the term law would indicate. For the sake of this book, it's important that when I say I'm talking about something absolute, something unbreakable, and something that just is, you cannot break a law. You can only break yourself against it. If you violate the law, you will most definitely be sorry you did. And unfortunately, there is no mercy if you're ignorant. The consequences will come regardless of your understanding of the law. Spiritual laws can be conditional. Sin is when you transgress a spiritual law after you've been given the law and are capable of understanding it. Let me explain. Suppose a 1-year-old child snatches a toy from his 3-year-old brother. The spiritual law, had he completely understood it, would have instructed him, thou shalt not steal. If he knew better and did it anyway, that would have been sin. Of course, a 1-year-old child's incapable of understanding such a principle, so he is innocent. John 9:14 or 41 says, Jesus said unto them, if you were blind, you should have no sin. But now I say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth. In other words, your innocence is directly related to the degree with which you understand the law. Think again about the baby. He doesn't understand the spiritual law, so he will not suffer any eternal consequences typically attached to violation of that spiritual law. However, the natural law of cause and effect is an absolute law. No allowance is made for ignorance. By the way, if you're typing into chat when I'm going through this reading portion, I'm not paying attention to chat. When we come out of screen share and have our opportunity to share what we want to share and ask questions, that's when we'll go ahead and address things, okay? Just want you to know that so you're not thinking I'm being rude or anything like that. Just going along with the flow the way we do on a daily basis. And everybody always ends up getting their questions answered. Cool? All right. The baby stealing the toy from his brother will discover the effects of this law when his older brother begins screaming and crying and perhaps even inflicting pain on the poor little boy. God did not apply the consequence. The consequence was spontaneous and natural. I believe that God would prefer his children suffer no pain, but we live in a natural world that is governed by natural laws. Natural laws are laws that even God will not alter. He does not control the outcome of our abiding or violating them. However, he does understand them perfectly and tries to teach us through the scriptures and his prophets how to live in harmony with them, so that perhaps perhaps by our obedience, we can avoid many painful natural consequences. The beautiful thing about understanding the laws is that if we choose to live in harmony with them, we will also be following God's spiritual laws because they're in harmony with each other. We will find that we can enjoy happiness, peace, and abundance now and eternal joy in the hereafter. What more could God want for his children? There is a law irrevocably decreed in heaven before the foundations of this world, upon which all blessings are predicated. And when we obtain any blessing from God, it is by obedience to that law upon which it is predicated. There are laws attached to good health, to loving relationships, and yes, even wealth. Are we supposed to be poor? What about Matthew 19:24? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. How do we deal with that concept? We look at the context in which it was probably written. I've heard it said that in the days of Jesus, the eye of a needle represented an entryway to a city. It was small enough for a camel to enter only if the camel crawled on its knees. This is symbolic of humility and a willingness to remove the extra baggage so that we may squeeze through. So if we want to live prosperously and want to still go to heaven, we must be certain that our heart is in the right place. Would we be able to give it all up? Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Can we prosper and still maintain our humility and obedience to his commandments? We're warned that it is a hard thing to do. But what is the alternative? Is it better to remain needy, or could we do a lot of good for his sake if God showed us how to prosper? Consider this. Satan would have us believe that we're better off poor. Why? Because if all God-fearing people are broke and needy, and all the unscrupulous people are wealthy, who will run the media? Who will become the political leaders? Who will make the movies and design the fashions of the day? Who will have the greatest influence on society? Fellow principled people, we need abundance. Fear not to prosper. Increase your devotion and hold fast to righteous principles, but let God and the universe prosper you. The competitive versus the creative plane. Whenever riches are obtained in an unlawful manner, specifically in violation of natural laws, the prosperity is temporary. For example, many get rich on a competitive plane. Let me explain. Picture a pie with one piece, which belongs to you. If your piece of pie represents the prosperity or wealth you enjoy, then to get more, someone must get less. On the other hand, you will see that to obtain wealth on a creative plane, you're adding some pie to the outer rim of your piece, increasing the diameter of the pie. And because nature abhors a vacuum, the rest of the pie gets filled in by law, and a bigger pie is created for everyone. This is in harmony with natural law and spiritual law. You will learn more about the vacuum law of prosperity at the end of the book. So let's see here. This is when you're operating on the competitive plane. You have your piece. If you want more, you have to take from someone else. Operating on the creative plane, you want more. What you do is you help create a bigger pie, and then you end up with more. And by the way, everybody else ends up with more that is dealing with you. As you creatively make yours bigger, the pie grows larger for everyone. How does it work? Here's an example. At one time, I decided to conduct my first workshop to teach these principles. It began with a simple idea. As I continued in that thought, I reserved a conference room at a local hotel. I ordered refreshments. I provided materials. I used gasoline in my car. I hired a babysitter. I picked up presentation materials at the local office supply store. And on the day of the presentation, when we paused for a lunch break, I ate out with my husband. I was compensated for conducting the workshop. Did I compete with anyone for the revenue? No. Did I increase the size of the pie for anyone else? Well, let's see. Let me list some of the people who benefited financially from my effort. The hotel owner, caterer, materials producer, gas station owner, babysitter, restaurant owner. And even the participants came away filled to overflowing with information and skills to give them the power to prosper. Win, 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 and win all the way around. There are no losers. As if the prosperity materialized out of thin air. We all came away from the experience just a little wealthier. We can learn to be creative and live in peace, knowing that our needs will be met without diminishing anyone else's portion. This is in harmony with God's universal laws. So ultimate success equals happiness and abundance here and now, and eternal life and exaltation in the hereafter. It is a worthy thing to desire, and you can have it. While we are promised in Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given you, the problem is we don't really believe it. That's right, we don't. How often do you kneel in prayer, petitioning the Lord for things, knowing He's going to give it to you just because you asked? Why is it so hard to believe? Because we don't know that there are absolute laws we can depend on. If you lack faith in God, then you can trust the laws and your faith in God will be strengthened. Isn't that wonderful? If your faith in God is already immovable, then gaining an understanding of the laws will come easily. If you're accustomed to trusting His laws, then more laws will not seem restrictive, but actually liberating. How could that be? Think of the laws like a kite string. It is the string that enables the kite to soar, even though it seems that the string is preventing the kite from reaching greater freedoms. Without the string, the kite will fall to the ground. So celebrate that we are given laws. Be grateful that He wants to enlighten our minds to understand them. Law, not confusion, is the dominating principle in the universe. This being so, man has but to right himself to find that the universe is right. And during the process of putting himself right, he will find that as he alters his thoughts toward things and other people, things and other people will alter towards him. James Allen from As a Man Thinketh. Even with little apparent rhyme or reason to our circumstances, we are empowered when we understand the laws. In fact, when we pass on to the other side, I believe we will discover that life was fair. We just didn't understand all the universal laws governing us. James Allen was a writer at the turn of the 20th century, whose essay on the subject is now gaining wider acclaim than ever. A few of his most profound comments solidify these principles, causing the ideas to seem like plain old common sense. In his words, when he begins to reflect upon his condition and search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, a man then becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Such is the conscious master, and man can only thus become by discovering within himself the laws of thought. that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny, a man may unerringly prove if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing their effect upon others and his life and circumstances, linking cause and effect, be patient practice and by patient practice and investigation. Every man is where he is by the law of his being. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him here, and in the arrangement of his life, there is no element of chance, but all is the result of a law which cannot err. This is just as true of those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings as those who are contented with them. This is just as true, even if you feel out of harmony with your surroundings. In other words, you may think you hate your circumstances, but on a subconscious level, you feel right at home. You must change what's happening in your mind consciously and subconsciously so that your surroundings will begin to reflect the life you want instead of the life you have. How? Read on. So what are some of these laws of our being anyway? This book will discuss the following 7 laws. These are the names by which I learned them, although I've seen them called different things. These are the terms I will use. The law of perpetual transmutation, the law of relativity, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, and the law of gender/gestation. While I learned these ideas from Bob Proctor, founder of Life Success Productions, he will be the first to tell you that they weren't his original ideas either. Having been a vice president of sales for the Nightingale Conant Corporation many years ago, he drew from his 30 years of study and reduced the best of the best ideas to their simplest and most precise form. Following is my own spiritual angle on a few of his teachings. Think of these laws as tools in your toolbox. Every situation you face throughout your life can be dealt with successfully by reaching into your toolbox and selecting the right law on which to focus at the time. This is how engineers and inventors operate. They know the laws of physics. If they want a massive hunk of metal to sail through the air for thousands of miles without falling, they don't have a panic attack about the law of gravity. Rather, they respectfully set it aside and instead focus their attention on the laws of aerodynamics. For many, many years, the human race was completely unaware of the laws governing air travel. The laws were always there and always available for our benefit. But until our awareness was heightened to understand the laws, we were grounded, so to speak. You will discover there's no reason to get all crazy when something in life seems to be falling apart. You'll simply run down your list of laws and focus on the one that keeps your massive hunk of metal sailing through the air, if you will. You'll think on the laws that keep you faithful and productive at the time. Scientists employ trajectory laws and the law of gravity, keeping them in perfect balance in order to keep a satellite in orbit, but disregard laws related to friction because they are simply irrelevant to the task at hand. It'd be a waste of energy to be concerned about how much friction will be present upon re-entry if they never intend to bring it back to Earth. By the same token, when we're experiencing a certain challenge, it is up to us to think only of the laws that help us at the time. We must not get worked up about other laws that have no practical application to our problem. I think you'll know what I mean as we get into the laws more deeply. Now, if you're up for some fun, actually, we're not going to do this at this moment. Let's see, what time do we have? I'm going to read this and then tell you a little bit about what's going on here. Now, if you're up for some fun, take a moment here to play a little interactive game, which you may have seen before. It will be your job to find all numbers, 1 through 60 in sequential order on the screen. Turn on your computer and go search the number link here. So if you go download this, you can play this game, okay? And it really is enlightening, but we're not going to do it for our discussion because it would be a little difficult to do with the discussion. When you're done, return to the ebook. Okay, welcome back. Did you see how useful an understanding of the law can be? Good. Don't worry if you didn't get to play the game. You'll still get the point by reading the book. Now, I'm here to let you know that there are even more laws that govern other mysteries. Becoming aware of them is the first liberating step to freedom. It really isn't all that complicated. In fact, it's so simple that many people have disregarded the ideas as too simple to be of any significance. Oh, how familiar that scenario is. Take a moment to remember the story from Exodus of Moses and the brass serpent. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. All they had to do was look. But many people died because they thought the remedy was too simple. So it is with the principles of prosperity. They are simple, but powerful enough to make a significant difference in your life. The goal is to keep your thoughts where they need to be, for your thoughts shape your circumstances. Your heightened awareness of these laws alone will change the way you think. And the effects of a heightened awareness will be felt even before you finish reading this book. Hidden Treasures does not claim to teach everything there is to know on the subject. Nevertheless, it should be sufficient information to help you make some significant changes in your life. And as you learn and apply your knowledge of these laws, you'll find greater joy in your struggles, have deeper faith in God and his promises, and feel a greater measure of peace in what your future has in store for you. Okay, so tomorrow we will get into the first law. But for the moment, we're going to jump into our discussion portion of what we're doing. So let me share how we function now. This is your opportunity to share what you would like to share and or to ask whatever questions you would like to ask. So let me explain what would be appropriate, first of all, since we have some new people here today. Appropriate things to share would be anything in relationship to what we just got done going over. So maybe you learned something, maybe you had some ahas, maybe you already knew some of it and it reminded you of some things that maybe you haven't been doing, or maybe there are things that you've been following through with already. So feel free to share about that. Also, we've been going along as a group now. We're ending week number 4. So you can share anything in relationship to what we've talked about in the past. Particularly what would be really cool to hear about is if you've received some information over the past 3.5, 4 weeks, or through our discussions that have actually helped you manifest something cool in your life. The other things to share would be, if you're new to us, that's fine. If you've had anything that's manifested in your life that you intentionally put out there that you wanted and you went through that process and it turned out the way you like it to, feel free to share that. Okay, questions, what is appropriate? Anything in relationship to what we just went over today, anything in relationship to, again, the things that we've studied and gone over in the past, and or anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So how do we do this? What we're going to do is, in a moment, I'm going to tell you, here's your time. Once I do that, you'll go ahead and come off mute and you'll start sharing what you want to share, or you'll ask whatever question you want to ask, okay? And if 2 of you jump in at the same time, we'll try and figure out who went first, let them do it, and then whoever was second, and so on and so forth, okay? So I highly recommend you take advantage of this opportunity and don't just be silent if you have something you'd like to share or a question you would like to ask, because you have our help. Not only do you have our collective help, but I've been a coach. This is my profession. I've helped people make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by being their coach. And so as far as learning how to manifest more money and wealth in our lives, if you have questions in relationship to that, and you're just sitting there and being silent, that wouldn't necessarily be the best use of time, okay? So I'm not going to watch for raised hands. I'm not going to be looking into chat. You will just come off of mute and start sharing what you want to share. And now is your time. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to share. I'm Nazareth.
Hi,
Uh,
welcome, welcome.
I am new. Oh, it says I'm Carl, but my name is Nazareth. Carl invited me to the uh, meeting, but
Okay,
um, I have all the Law of Attraction books, Think and Grow Rich. I'm actually Carl told me you were studying the science of success or the science of getting rich. But one idea I've struggled with like reading these books is like they always say like don't be a competitor and be a creator. But I'm so used to like the competitive like lifestyle, so I don't know how to make that change over. Like even when she was explaining it in the Hidden Treasures book, I still don't understand because to me it still feels like there are only like a limited number of spots. There's only a limited amount of money out there to get. Still don't have that abundance mindset when it comes to my finances. And also something that really stuck out to me is I wrote it down. You may think you hate your circumstances, but some subconsciously you feel right at home. Like I've been wanting to change my where I live and the way I live because I keep getting like cheap apartments, where I have to share a bathroom. I have a bunch of roommates, and I hate that because like um I like to have my own things, have my own space.
hmm
But always, like you said, I feel at home because it is cheap and it is affordable. And I do have that, I guess, fear about like moving to a place where I can't afford it and eventually like getting kicked out or evicted. So I guess my question is how can I shift my mindset from competitor to creator? And really, how can I like get more abundance in my life when it comes to my finances? Because that's something I would really love to have, but it
okay,
just feels like I have all these excuses in my head, like I'm too young, I don't have any marketable skills, I don't have a degree, this, that, and third. So
awesome. Perfect, perfect. What was your name again?
Nazareth, let me change.
Nazareth. Okay, cool name. Very
Appreciate
cool name. All right. So what you just said right away, you just answered your own questions because you actually recognize that it's all excuses, right?
it.
Right. It's just thoughts. It's just thoughts that come to you when you're trying to make changes, right? So we got to understand why that's happening, first of all, because if we don't understand why that's happening, then we can't change it. Why it's happening is it's because you've been programmed. Now, when Leslie was talking about the circumstance and saying I don't like it, and say, well, you're totally comfortable with it. Yes, because your program is. I'm going to talk briefly. I highly recommend that you go find the recording I did a week ago on Friday. So join our Facebook group.
Okay, I
Okay.
did. I joined it.
Okay, cool. Go find the one we did last Friday because it will go pretty deep into your subconscious mind, the discussion. It won't teach you, but you'll be like, okay, I see what he's saying. But I'll try and be brief and summarize it. Your subconscious mind is designed to do three things. One, keep you alive. Number two, keep you safe. And then number three, to help you master things and put them on autopilot, to help you create and master habits. Okay.
Mm,
But we have to understand what the subconscious mind will or won't do. Okay. The
right.
subconscious mind does not determine good, bad, right, or wrong.
Mm,
It has no ability to do so. Your subconscious mind does it. You have the ability at a conscious level to know good, bad, right, or wrong and to make decisions. But your subconscious mind, once it's accepted something to be true, it will only work based on that truth that it believes, even if it's totally untrue.
okay.
Okay. For instance, let's go the live, when you go to bed at night, the thing that keeps you going, your body going, and everything else is your subconscious. You don't have to think about your breathing and your blood pumping or anything like that.
Mm,
Okay. Let's move over and let's talk about the mastery side for a second. What's 3 times 9?
27,
There you go. What's 4 times 6?
28. I think I'm
Four.
wrong.
You were close.
Oh, 4, 8,
That's
12,
all right. What's
24,
7 times 1?
7.
Okay. Why do you know that? When's the last time you went to school to learn that? It was a while ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What happened was we went to school as kids, and the timetables, we had to repeat them so many times over and we wrote them down and we said them and everything. So now we could do that. But if I said, what's 327 times 426, you'd have to write it down and then you could work it out, or you could grab a calculator and work it out, but you can't just spit it out,
Right.
right? Well, your subconscious mind is what helped you just spit it out. It took you a moment because I caught you off guard. Okay. But once you recognize what I was doing, you're like, oh, and if I would have kept on, you would have even gotten quicker with it because you tapped into that part of your subconscious mind that had mastered the times tables. But the thing is, we were only taught the times tables in school up to 12 times 12. After that, they didn't teach us any further.
Mhm.
Therefore, not saying we can't figure it out, we just haven't mastered it. We'd have to go to a different level and write it down, or see it on our mind and almost like put a whiteboard on our mind or a chalkboard and write it in our head and add it up, or use our fingers or whatever. But for the stuff that we did master, subconscious mind just spits it back out, like tying your shoes. Do you think about tying your shoes anymore?
No.
But once as a little kid, we really had to think about it, and we kind of, it kept falling apart, and we were proud and happy. But now that we've tied our shoes so many times, when we're tying our shoes, we're thinking about something else. We're usually not, okay, I'm good. Where our mind is totally somewhere else because that's on autopilot. Whatever, have you played any sports?
Yeah.
Okay, you look like someone who might have. What's one of your favorite sports?
Basketball.
You're pretty good?
Yeah.
Like really good?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. All right. So there's things that you do that have been so repetitive now that they're just kind of an autopilot. Have you ever been in a game where you just felt like you were in the flow and you couldn't miss?
Yep.
Right? Autopilot, subconscious took over. That's why it already knew how to do it. It just took over. And that's why you were in totally, when Jordan was like that, or anybody, it's they're in a different place. They're not in their head. Their spirit and their subconscious is taking over what's going on. Now you might say, well, that's competitive. No, the ability to do what they do is not the competitive side of it. They have a competitive nature. They want to win, but their ability to play the game and make shots and make blocks and dunk and free throws and whatever assists, that has become subconscious. Sometimes there's some struggle with it because we're not connected subconsciously and we're in our head. That's when we're not in the flow as an athlete. Okay.
Right.
But as an athlete, when you're in the flow, you've mastered something. Not saying you can't still get better, but like you don't have to think about it. You can actually go down the court and you don't have to think about dribbling. You're thinking about what you're doing if you're the guard, right?
Mhm.
If you're out there and you're Chris Paul, he's not watching himself dribble the ball.
Right.
He's picking apart the team and going to the spot and then getting people to come at him, that he either does his little step back in front of the big guy, or he ends up normally, he'll pass it to somebody, and that's why he's so good at assists. That's what's happening. So, but that's what the subconscious mind has done for him. Okay. Now let's go back to the middle one again, though. The subconscious mind keep you alive and master things, but the other one is to keep you safe. Not just alive, but like safe, because if I keep you safe, I don't have to worry about keeping you alive. Right?
Right.
That's the better step. The problem is your subconscious mind, you have to know how it defines safe. And most people don't. Your subconscious mind doesn't go into the Webster dictionary, or it doesn't Google the word safe to make its decision. Okay. So subconscious mind's definition of safe equals what's normal.
Mm.
Okay. But now you have to go define, well, what's normal? And it doesn't necessarily mean what society does or doesn't, or another person thinks is normal. Now it says, okay, what's the definition of what's normal? And it's whatever you've accepted to be normal, even if you don't like it. For instance, if somebody's in an abusive relationship, right? Obviously, that wouldn't be safe if it's physically abusive, that there's not safety there. However, the subconscious mind defines safe as what's normal. And if this person's used to getting beat on a daily basis by their spouse or boyfriend or whoever, then unfortunately, if this person's still alive, the The subconscious mind goes, well, that didn't kill this person. And this person keeps allowing this to happen. And eventually that becomes a subconscious program that says, well, this is actually normal. So when you try and change normal to have a different kind of relationship, your subconscious mind thinks that anything is new is potentially dangerous.
I completely understand. Okay.
Okay.
So even a healthy relationship with her would be danger to the subconscious, even though it's healthy.
If it's not what's normal for you,
Right.
because it doesn't know what a healthy relationship is.
Okay.
Consciously you do, but subconscious you don't. Subconscious, it just says this is what's normal, and is is Nazareth still alive or not? Is he
Mm,
still breathing? Is he still alive? Is he still able to get up in the morning? Right?
yeah.
So when those programs come into us, we have a financial thermostat also. All of us do. It's just at
Mm,
different levels that says this is how much money is normal for you. Okay. And until you change that program, you will not exceed that amount of money. You might for a short period of time, but your subconscious will yank you back down just the same way if you were to put, crabs into a bucket and one's trying to get out, the rest are going to pull it back in. That's what your subconscious mind is going to do. It's not going to let you free until your subconscious mind accepts a new normal. Once you can convince your subconscious mind that something else is normal, and it accepts it, then it doesn't even matter what your past was like any longer. If you stay
okay.
focused on that, it will continue to strengthen what's new and normal. And that's why somebody who's wealthy who loses it more often than not will get it back pretty fast,
Understood.
because that's normal. It's like being broke's not normal for you, dude. That's dangerous. Okay.
I got that. Okay. I completely understand. So how would you change the subconscious mind? I know that's probably a whole another
Mhm.
can of worms, but
It is. Well, and we're going to go through things to help that happen. If you come, get the link from Carl, so that if you're not there with him or whatever, you're more. It's come every day, come Monday through Friday if you can, and learn. Over time, we'll go through a process for that. The other thing that you can do it, and other people do when they really want to speed up the process. That's my specialty. I'm a coach. That's what I get paid to do, and I'm extremely good at it.
mhm,
But I'm not free.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm not free, but people who work with me tend to multiply their income anywhere from 3 to 10 times, usually within a 12-month period.
Wow. Okay.
So you have to make, and I do that in a group setting more often than I do it one-on-one, one, because it's more affordable for whoever I'm coaching. But the other reason that I do it that way too is I can help more people. And I'm just about 98% as effective in a group setting as I am when I do one-on-one.
Got it.
Okay. So, and you can listen to, Carl is actually probably why he told you about this. Carl is committed to being one of my coaching clients.
Oh, okay.
Haven't started doing that yet. Okay. But obviously he liked what I was doing well enough to tell you about it. So, but right now he's in the process of putting together the money to do that.
Understood. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hello,
Who would like to be next?
I'm on.
Hi, Mo.
How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. How about you?
Thanks for you. I had a question.
Okay.
When you was reading, I heard something called the law of polarity,
Mhm.
but I didn't understand it.
Okay. So, and she went through 7 laws on there, and then there's another additional law we're going to go through. So we're going to go through 8 different laws. Rather than go in a deep explanation of what it is right now, I just recommend that you spend the next 7, 8 days with us. And if you can't make it, then go into the Facebook group and get the recording. The other thing you could do is go get yourself a free copy of the book. Just go to hiddentreasuresbook.com and you can download the book for free. It's my friend who owns the website. And that person is one of my mentors and trainers 15, 16 years ago. So if you want to go ahead of us, you're welcome to do that. But instead of me explaining each of these laws, she goes in very good depth on it. And I'm going to go in depth on it with you guys as we come up through each one of them. So I'm not trying to ignore as much as I'm saying it would take me, 30 minutes or so to get really good explanation and have you truly understand it.
Okay, it's okay. I had another question, which is when you try to do something and improve yourself, you got to lose a lot of things, a bunch of things in your life, and you got to get out of your comfort zone. Sorry, of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
and that's like uncomfortable to feel.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. It's uncomfortable to feel. There's ways to go about reprogramming ourselves that will be more comfortable than others. Um, but the comfort zone, the reason it's uncomfortable is you're saying, my life is currently like this, but I'd rather have my life be like this. And your subconscious mind is accepted already that your life is like this. So when you're wanting to make a change, your subconscious mind is the one that gets in the way. Obeying the laws that govern manifesting what you want, that is one aspect that you're going to have to recognize and understand. Like you said, the law of polarity. You're going to want to have an awareness of how this all works. That is one piece. You need to know how things work. The other piece, though, is you need to understand your subconscious mind and what it's doing to either help you or hinder you. And they need to be in alignment with each other, because when your subconscious mind is in alignment with God and the universe and the good they're trying to bring you, your subconscious mind actually makes sure that it happens. It actually helps you. But your subconscious mind, again, doesn't know the difference between good, bad, right, or wrong. It just takes whatever is normal for you that it's been programmed and has been accepted at a subconscious level and says that's normal for you. So when you step out to make a change, that's why you're uncomfortable, because your subconscious mind is making you uncomfortable about it. Until it accepts the new idea as normal for you, it's not going to quit making that noise in your head and that feeling in your stomach. So what you're going to have to do is go through a process that we refer to breaking through the terror barrier. I think Leslie in this book will discuss that. If not, I can, maybe when we're done with the book, I'll go into a discussion about it. But what it does is help you recognize what is going on. By the way, the most successful people in the world, when they set a new big goal for themselves that they don't know how to achieve, they don't have the plan for it or anything, they go through the same thing that you're going through, believe it or not. Even multimillionaires and billionaires and whatnot go through the same thing. The difference is they know that that feeling means that they're actually successfully changing their life. So they don't go backwards, they go through it, because it's not a physical danger to you. It's not even dangerous for you. It's just that your subconscious mind screws around with your emotions, and your emotions affect how you feel. That's why you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, or that's why you shake or you sweat or whatever. It's not because you have any actual danger, but your subconscious mind is making you act almost as if there's a grizzly bear in front of you, but there's nothing actually there to harm you.
You mean when you do it time by time, you will get practice to it and you will be used to it?
Yeah, it'll still happen. You'll just be like, oh, I know what's going on. It doesn't feel the best, but I know. Matter of fact, what happens is you go through it much quicker, because it hurts more to stand there and stare at it than it does to go through it. So people recognize, let's just get through it really fast, and that feeling goes away as soon as you go through it.
Okay, man, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
So on Tuesday, I started a 4-week class for commercial voiceover. We had 2 different commercial scripts, and usually commercial copy comes really easy to me, but the whole day, even before the class, I was struggling, especially with like the wording.
Okay.
So I really got in my head in the class, which caused me not to be able to take direction and read the script as, say, if I'm a doctor speaking to a patient, and if it was like after I received that direction to do it differently, I really didn't change anything. And usually I can do that and take the delivery and do it properly. So it really threw me after the class all the way through Wednesday morning. And so I just feel like I really lacked in the class. So I watched like a Bob Proctor video on failure, and he said failure way to success. But I'm just so used to being able to take direction and do the script differently or embody a certain character, and I just couldn't do it for that first class. So do you have any advice on how I can prevent that for the future?
It won't come up very often. Okay. Occasionally it will. Something at a subconscious level, and maybe you don't have to overthink this, okay? Because you can fix it, by the way. Okay, so I'll tell you how to fix it in a moment. I don't want you to overanalyze to figure out unless it was repetitive, but you just said it doesn't happen very often. So I'm not as concerned. I know you don't want it ever to happen again, of course, but if you're like, yeah, about every 3 times I do this, I sabotage myself, I would be more concerned, okay? Probably what happened though is something in your life outside of voiceover is a little off for the day. Something was bothering you. Maybe I don't know if it's what this who you're dealing with that day or doing the voiceover itself, but it actually sounds to me that there was something else. You don't have to analyze again. I don't think so, unless it's a repetitive thing that you're doing to yourself. What I would do is just say this to yourself. However it is that you meditate and pray, I would say something to this effect, hey, dear God, I went through this class the other day, and both you and I know very well it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I'm not going to worry about why it didn't. What I would like to do is ask your forgiveness for me not being able to do my best, but more importantly, let me forgive myself that the best didn't come out of me. Okay. I know I could have done better, but it's better that I see myself positive and successful than I do that I worry about it or beat myself up. So would you do me a favor? Show me how to make it better, and let's go create what we really want together. I will confirm with you before I go do my next class, and I'll make sure that I'm connected powerfully with you so that I not only can do my best, but I get the help of you in the universe. By getting your help and the universe's help, I know that even if I'm lacking that day, I'll still end up with a great outcome. However, the 3 of us together, you, me, and the universe, are absolutely unstoppable. And I expect to be unstoppable in the future. And I thank you so much for helping that to be the case. Something like that.
Thank you. That's so great.
You're welcome. Very welcome. All right. Normally the class would be done by now, which, by the way, if you have to go, it said 45 minutes in the meetup. We went through material. We've answered some questions. We got to hear some comments. I'm going to stick around a little bit longer to help you guys out because I have a little more time. I can do that if you guys still have some comments or questions. However, if you need to go, don't feel like you're being held hostage. Okay. You're more than welcome to, again, go into the Facebook group and review the end of this. Even if you don't want to go through the whole thing, you could review the last 10, 15 minutes of it if you need to go. But if you want to stay, if you guys have anything more to share or any additional questions you want to ask, I'll stay here with you for a little bit longer. Anybody have anything they want to share or any questions they would like to ask?
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Carl, terrific. Terrific. What's up?
Something interesting happened yesterday that I've had a mentor for the past 2 months or so.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you've ever heard, people come in and they come out of your life when they
Absolutely.
need
Yep.
to. And it was so weird. We start off the call and I ask him how he's doing. And, he asked me a question and I say, no, I'm not going to be participating in this. And it got him so worked up that he literally, after a 30-minute call, and it was strictly about this topic, he ended the call and then basically sent me an email saying that I was now fired as his mentee,
Okay.
which I found really surprising. Like, wow, after 2 months, everything going well, this is what happens. And I reflected on it. I talked with some mutual people and well, maybe he came into my life. He gave me a lot of great tips and points and all that. And now it's time for him to exit and open myself up for a new mentor, so to speak, to come into my life.
Yeah. You know what? Well, for instance, today, right? I've had relationships working with Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter and with Bob Proctor. And I'm still close again with a lot of Bob Proctor's associates. I still have a relationship a bit with Sharon Lechter, but not with Robert at this point. But I got a lot of good out of it. And boy, did they get a lot of good from me too. So I just look at it as, you know, vibrations change over time. We need different things. Maybe, you know, for whatever reason, your mentor was just having a bad day or a bad week, you know,
Right.
and you know what, you might have been the third thing that disappointed him that day. And he's out of vibration, and he'll come right back into a good vibration as soon as he recognizes. And I don't know what he mentors you on, right? If he's a law of attraction related or something different.
Something completely different. Yeah.
Okay. So he may not even understand the vibe he's putting out. And and I'm not saying this is what happened, but let's say that he just, do you pay him to mentor you, by the way?
No. So this is through my fraternal organization.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, maybe he's just offended that he feels that he should be the all for you. Don't
You
know.
know, when I called someone else to speak with about, because I was a little like, wow, like what just happened? He said, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. He can kind of be very much, it's my way or the highway sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, and it is what it is. I completely agree. One, it could be he was having a really bad day and I just triggered it because I could clearly tell he was so attached to a result, which was me agreeing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the other part is like, well, there's a season as in a reason for people being around you.
Sure.
And, you know, I don't know how long you've been doing this, these online calls. I found out about you. It seems like I found out about you when I was supposed to find out about you,
Yeah.
you know?
I had a group that I ran from November 5th. I went through till about March, and then I stopped for a little while to do some other stuff. And then I felt prompted to start it back up again. Today we'll finish up week number 3. Next week we go into week number 4. So I've been here for 4 weeks. Not very long, but I've done things like this before. I just started up a new group. I wanted to have a little, and all the groups have been good. Kind of like what you said, though. I felt the other group ended up, not only did I end up with, you know, a group of clients, but I also ended up with some people like will happen here too, that after 3.5, 4 months, they hadn't made the decision to truly change. And it was like, well, I need to tell you guys I'm going away. A couple of them, when I said I was going away, they're like, okay, let me get your help. And the rest of them, you know, not that I didn't care, but I knew that they just needed to make a decision. And the rest of them were just going to keep showing up. And I don't do this for entertainment purposes.
Right.
You know, whether I'm entertaining or not, I don't know. But I really, people that are listening really should take into account what's being taught to them, whether you use me as your actual coach, you know, and hire me, or whether you just take advantage of Monday through Friday. You can take advantage of Monday through Friday and certainly make some progress. And if you're not using this to make progress, if you're not taking what you're doing, I love the person who asked the question, said I took notes. You guys should be taking notes, you know, of some sort, and or going back and reviewing what you went through, because part of the way to reprogram your subconscious mind is through spaced repetition. And if you don't repeat the information, a lot of people, I know this stuff. Okay, not at a subconscious level, you don't. Well, yeah, I do. I could tell you how to do law of attraction. Okay, your results tell me if you do or do not know it. It's that simple. If you're not living the way that you want to be living, I'm not telling anybody how much money they should or shouldn't have, where they should live, what they should drive, you know, who they should be married to, or that's not my deal. My deal is to help you decide for yourself and help you get it. But if you know all about the law of attraction and you've read all these books and you still don't have what you want, either you haven't decided truly what you want and made 100% decision to have it happen, or You think you know how this works and you absolutely don't. You got too many blind spots. And I have blind spots too. That's why I get into masterminds and I have people coach me too. Every coach needs a coach. And so if I want to improve, I need to get around other people. I don't have to get around somebody necessarily that's making a bazillion more dollars than I do to improve. I need to get around somebody who energetically can figure out when I get stuck, what they need to tell me. And I can pick up on it really fast once they tell me. That's the difference, is I don't need a lot of instruction to get out of it. They point it, and it's almost before it's out of their mouth that I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. But I needed them to see it because I'm right in the middle of my stuff. When you're in the middle of your stuff, it's harder to see it.
No, it definitely is. That's for sure.
Yeah. And thanks for inviting your friend on today.
My pleasure. I've invited several people. He's the first one who was free to attend. The others, I said, look, there's a Facebook group. You can see the previous recording. So I share with people who, you know, I know are at least open to the idea of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah, I mean, your friend, your mentor, I would just go wish them the very best in your mind and your heart. Give them success, give them love, you know, give them appreciation, and let them, when they're ready, or if you feel compelled in the future, you know, you'll reach out to each other at the right time.
Right. No, I agree. It's the same way. Just send out positive energy, not negative energy.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anybody else? Any last questions or comments that you feel like, hey, if I don't get to ask that right now, I don't know how I'm going to make it till Monday. Anybody got anything? Okie dokie. Well, I appreciate everybody that's been here with us today. And I would also say that, hey, if you would do what Carl did, that would be awesome. If you know additional people that could use this kind of help and you point them our way to the free class, that would be terrific. I will now let you guys go and we will catch up with each other this coming Monday. Thanks so much. And everybody, you have an amazing weekend.
Thanks, Kevin. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
You're all welcome.